So again, we're here with Dr. Brian, and you started the personal injury. It's probably been, what, 4 months, 5 months maybe?
No, more like 7.
Okay, seven, a little more.
Early in the year.
Okay.
Yep.
And you didn't dive in right away. You kind of took your time into it, right?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go right to the results. So it's been 7 months. How much has it impacted your practice?
Well, significantly. I've done 9 attorney presentations, 8 or 9 attorney presentations, and it's probably really riled up my big 2 that I've worked with for years. And we've had a successful practice for forever.
Yeah, Brian does real well. Let me say it front. He does real well to start with.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's just opened it up. And interesting.
Let's cut to some numbers. Everybody likes to hear numbers.
Yeah.
So what would you say, generally speaking, how much has it increased your business in the last 6 months? $100,000?
Yeah, easily $100,000.
200?
100. And where it's
Would you help me out here? More than 200 or 100? Okay.
Again, I'm running in the red already.
Yeah.
You know what my practice is. I'm like.
Yeah, Brian does real well.
Up there.
Okay, so easily $100,000.
Yep.
Okay. And I remember you called me, right? Like usually it was like within 3 months, 2 or 3 months, he called me and said, my business is already up, this, and that. You remember that, Colin? It's already, it's already going up,
Right.
up. I'm like, okay, here we go.
When I first started, I exploded that first quarter. I dove into your videos, and I was out in front of attorneys, and it just really, really rocketed right from there.
Yeah, and I think that's when you called me.
Yeah.
Said, yeah, and
Yeah,
because I remember at that time, I think you said you'd already increased like 250,000. Now I'm talking annualized. When you annualize your income.
Yeah. Well, that quarter was
Okay.
amazing.
So pretty comfortably, pretty easily, $100,000.
Yep.
And I think it's safe to say that you don't even go full speed, do you?
12 hours a week.
He works 12 hours a week. I think that's safe to say, not going to full speed.
Yeah.
As a full-time associate, he's looking to hire his next associate doctor.
Spent a lot of time teaching this to my associate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's essentially putting everything in play, you're right? And then you bring the next associate, and then really the goal for him is to be the rainmaker.
Yep.
And then just flood his associate doctors, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is that a fair statement?
That's accurate as heck.
And so how's it going? How's the program going for you? What kind of responses are you getting with the attorneys when you explain how all this works and how you put it together into documentation? What kind of responses are you getting?
Well, they're shocked. They've never heard of AOMSI. They, it's new to them. And before I forget, I just want to say where I've seen a big bump is in my massage therapy. My massage therapy has really expanded since I started with you. And it's always a spillover of chiropractic, but we can document it better and we get longer care periods.
Okay, you mean just the documentation itself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the phases of healing and biomarkers.
Okay, and all the documentation.
But the
let me
volume
go
of
to
massage therapy.
let me go to the attorney itself. The
Yeah.
responses you got with them. So what were some of the response when you showed them this is the documentation we're now going to be using to put this case together to support your case?
Right. Well, again, most of them are just like kind of shocked, halfway don't know what to do with it, don't know if they want to change, what they've been doing. But they've just started seeing the results. They're sending the people over. Probably.
So they've now been getting your documentation and supporting and then submitting those. And what kind of have you heard of any results they're getting?
Again, most of ours are they're getting the high limits, so they don't even really go to.
So they're at the
much.
high end.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're right there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what's happening.
Anything else? How it's benefited?
Massage is the big one. I mean, that's really went up.
Now, when he says that, he's talking about the document. In other words, you're talking about establishing the need for care through
Yes.
documentation. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
All these documenting factors we're talking about. Okay.
And another side effect is as we
How
all know,
about your cleaning up the personal injury cases? How well is it done with increasing and cleaning that up?
it helped a lot to be specific to the patient, to their biomarkers, and the 3 phases of healing. And it helped insulate us because we are big, that we get a lot of pushback from the bad guys out there, the bad insurance companies, and individualizing more and focusing on the 3 areas or 3 phases of healing. That's helped a lot. You taught me
In
that.
other words, he's taken his documentation totally towards science-based documentation. The science of the biomarkers relative to the 3 phases of healing, right?
Yeah.
That's helped a lot.
Yep.
Okay, and then how about from the patient's perspective, when now you're explaining the biomarkers relative to the phases of healing?
That's the surprising part. So I went from mega high volume cash family practice 15 years ago and started moving towards PI a decade ago. And now speaking about tissue, and I sent you those pictures,
Right.
of torn tissue and scar tissue. And so the same things he's teaching, I'm showing them pictures. And that's just easier for them to take in. There's no paradigm shift there.
Right.
And they take that in, and then we get the lifestyle later. But they, that's been really, really
Yeah.
helpful.
How easy is it for them to understand their biomarkers
They
and
get
the
it.
phases of healing?
Very easy.
Yeah.
And we'll see our compliance quarter or stats for this quarter here soon. I'll get to compare them, you know, to people accepting that model.
Yeah.
Easier
And by the
under-
way, how much easier is it for your associate to go, well, that makes complete sense?
He likes it a lot. He likes that a lot. Yeah. Good time.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.